1971. Dan Cooper enters the Portland International Airport and purchases a one-way ticket to Seattle. Smartly dressed in a suit and tie, Cooper raises no suspicions. Shortly after takeoff, Flight Attendant Florence Schaffner approaches Cooper to ask if he needs anything. She is handed a note. She thinks he's being fresh and has passed her a phone number. She pockets the note and continues on with her job. Later, as she passes Cooper again, he beckons her closer. He tells her that she would be wise to read the note because he has a bomb in his suitcase. Schaffner walks to the back of the plane and reads the note. The note itself was then returned to Cooper. The exact wording of the demands is lost to time, but the gist of it is this: I have a bomb, I want $200,000 in cash, and 2 parachutes. Pilot William Scott notified Air Traffic Control. Air Traffic Control notified Seattle Police. Seattle Police notified the FBI, and the FBI contacted the president of the airline, Donald Nyrop. Nyrop was stunned. He saw a disaster in the making and asked that Cooper's demands be met. Schaffner, meanwhile, went to sit with Cooper. He cracked his briefcase to reveal what appeared to be 2 sticks of dynamite, wired and ready to go. Cooper instructed the crew to keep the plane in the air until his parachutes and cash were ready. Cooper was, of course, not the only person on this flight. It was the day before Thanksgiving, and travelers from all over the U.S. were on board. Holiday travel then was as popular as it is now. The pilot called over the intercom that due to mechanical issues, the plane would have to circle before landing. No one other than the crew knew what Cooper was doing. Dan Cooper held all the cards. He had a bomb in a briefcase and a score of potential victims. On the ground, FBI agents were scurrying to meet Cooper's demands. He wanted the money in 20s only, with non-sequential serial numbers. Smaller bills would mess up the weight ratio he required for his upcoming jump. The money was easy enough. Local banks were more than happy to assist the FBI. Parachutes were a whole different problem. Cooper refused military parachutes and asked that he be provided civilian chutes. The FBI isn't normally in the business of stockpiling civilian gear, so they had to ask the owner of a nearby skydiving school. After his initial reluctance, he agreed to sell the FBI 4 parachutes. An airport employee met the plane on the tarmac. The lights had been dimmed. When Cooper received his ransom, he released the 36 passengers on board, along with Florence Schaffner. Stewardess Tina Mucklow remained on the plane, along with the cockpit crew. A Federal Aviation Administration official asked Cooper if he could board. He wanted to have a frank talk with Cooper about the penalties of air piracy. His request was denied. The plane was going back up in the air, and no one was going to stop it. Cooper asked Mucklow to read him the instructions for the aft stairs. She stated she didn't think that the stairs could be opened mid-flight. Cooper simply told her she was thinking wrong. Dan Cooper knew a thing or two about airplanes. He understood that the cabin could be depressurized at less than 10,000 feet without a risk to the crew. He knew that traveling at 150 knots would be an acceptable speed for a skydive. He knew the range of a Boeing 727. He had asked the pilots to take him to Mexico City, though he knew that 52,000 gallons of fuel wouldn't get him there. A stop in Reno, Nevada for fuel was negotiated. Shortly after takeoff, Cooper ordered the crew to get in the cockpit and stay there. A red light came on shortly after. The door had been opened and the aft stairs were down. The captain called over the intercom to ask if Cooper needed anything. He received a loud no. This was the last time anyone spoke to Dan Cooper. After arriving in Reno, the crew emerged from the cockpit. Dan Cooper was gone, along with the money and his personal belongings, including his briefcase. The only thing left behind was the extra parachute. The FBI was stumped. Over the coming weeks, the areas on the flight path were searched again, and searched some more. Authorities began searching criminal records for a Dan Cooper. During the search, they ran across a similar name. The name was leaked to the press, and due to a miscommunication, a reporter was leaked the information about a suspect living in Portland. Though this suspect was quickly cleared, his name would go on to be used for all investigations until present day. D.B. Cooper. So what happened? Did Dan Cooper float off into the sunset with his $200,000? Did he mistime the jump and end up hitting the ground? Is there a well-dressed skeleton in the woods of the Pacific Northwest? There have been few clues. Most leads only end up creating dead ends. 1980. Bundles of 20s with serial numbers matching that of Cooper's ransom are found in Washington. A search was undertaken, but the eruption of Mount St. Helens just a few months later destroyed any further evidence. 2011. Marla Cooper claims her uncle L.D. Cooper is the hijacker. She claims that she overheard her uncle telling family members that their worries were over because he had hijacked a plane. Later, she would tell authorities that L.D. actually lost all of the money while skydiving from the plane. One of the flight attendants stated that L.D. Cooper did bear a resemblance to the hijacker. The FBI have investigated and declared it a dead end. 2016. The FBI announces that no more resources will go into actively investigating the D.B. Cooper case. Most FBI agents who have worked the case will tell you the same thing. D.B. Cooper didn't survive his jump. 2021 is the 50th anniversary of Dan Cooper's audacious act of air piracy. After all of this time, no one is any closer to catching Dan Cooper. So what do you think? Did Cooper get away with it? Or is there a treasure waiting to be found in the Pacific Northwest? You can tell me your theories in the comments on Twitter and Instagram at The Unsolved, or on Facebook at Dread The Unsolved. You can email me your Dan Cooper sightings and tips to theunsolved@dreadcentral.com. Thanks for watching.